out of this, can it?
All right, we're here with Santos Bonacci. This is a post-conversation, post-presentation conversation following the presentation yesterday in Hayward, California. We got Eric here as well. How you doing, Santos?
Great, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any better.
Yeah.
Doesn't get any better.
Yeah.
And what a great presentation we had yesterday. It was great for me. First time in 7 years. Since September. Oh, there you go. Same month.
Yeah.
Since September of 2013 in Lucca, Italy, Tuscany. I did my last presentation. It was in Italian. I remember it clearly. And weeks later, I had my computer and my 2 passports stolen, so I haven't done presentations, touring, or anything since then. And now here I am in San Francisco, starting it up again.
Yeah.
It's great. Got good people like you guys around. It's just, doesn't get any better, man.
Yeah.
And same birthday, you and I,
Yeah,
March 24th.
It's pretty cool, man.
Like, I feel it.
Yeah.
You can see it.
Yeah.
You can't miss it. If you're missing it, you're missing out on everything.
Yeah.
I don't miss any of those details astrologically. So it's great. Yeah. The conversation we're having is really good.
Yeah.
About the way things are going in this world where young folk are squandering their inheritance, spiritual inheritance, especially when it comes to their associations and what they do. Don't realise that a lot of their activities are destructive, harming them, rather than restoring them, empowering them. So cheap experiences, you lose your power. There's only one way to have power. Magic. Keep your integrity. Walk your path, It's not your path either, it's the path. So it's good. It's good to witness the 2 different worlds. The outside world, people are just squandering all their inheritance. They don't know who they are. Lost their sense of purpose. And every fleeting, cheap experience that they get involved with is another loss of their soul power. Parasites are sucking their soul. Eventually they end up looking in the mirror 10 years, 20 years later, and they don't even recognise what they're looking at. It's all gone. There's no integrity. They didn't live for anything, they didn't stand for anything, they fell for everything. Every parasite that came along offering a exciting experience, because you only live once, why don't you just go out and get it all now? And they do. They get all the curses as well with it, pleasure and pain. Rather than staying in the now and allowing, the universe to restore them to their full power and glory, everlasting, rather than temporal.
Is there a way back to the original temple?
Yeah. Unconditional repentance and, intention. That's how we're here, because we did that. We were on the wrong path.
Yeah.
We did those experiences, and we found out who we are not, and who we are. You don't go finding yourself. Some people, take time out because I need to find myself. Well, it's about getting to know, not finding. You're already there. But see, when you take away the focus from you and you give it to other people and get lost in your partners, etc., and totally lose your identity and your position, that's where it gets scary, because that's where you can lose yourself, and never find that you again. So that's what pilgrimages and devotion and all of that's what it's all about. It's people restoring themselves to what they were. Why do you go putting yourself through ordeals and devotion and that, because you know where you can get to and where you want to get to. So we all have this in us. It's the feeling that we know that there's more completion somewhere. So the mistake is when we go looking for that in other people. They think they will complete us. First you have to be complete, then they will not complete you, they will complement you. You shouldn't be looking for completion in someone else, but to be complemented. So two complete people come together, rather than two incomplete people to make shonky wonky whole, which doesn't work like that. You need to bring two wholes together. And therein is the problem. There's two ways of approaching this. One from self-centeredness, self-assuredness, and one from the point of you're lost and you've got to go and find yourself. And all these people along the way, clowns, fools, criminals, good people, bad people, actors, salesmen, liars, cheaters, they all come along the way. They all get put in the way. Like Pinocchio. Pinocchio is a story about Ascension. The name Pinocchio means pineal eye, the third eye. Occhio is ocular, yeah? Pinocchio. Pin is the pineal gland. So Pinocchio is a burattino, means he's a puppet. He's not a real guy, but he wants to be real. So he has to go through all the ordeals, doesn't he? He goes to the circus, you know, everyone's telling him, Pinocchio, there's, you know, you don't have to go to school. Why go to school? I forget who the characters were that turned up now, because it's a long time since I've read Pinocchio, but you remember that? I think it was like a fox or someone who turns up and says, hey Pinocchio, you know, why go to school? It's boring, you know, let's go out to the circus, let's go to the zoo. And so Pinocchio goes. But he's being distracted from his pineal eye, Pinocchio experience. But eventually he gets there. He realises that they're all salespeople, it's all theatre, and he's got to stay true to his focus. And then he becomes a real boy.
She's good.
And Jiminy Cricket is none other than Jesus Christ. Same initials, JC. So Jiminy Cricket is always there to try and guide him, right?
You know, I find it funny. People will use Pinocchio to call someone a liar. Like, oh, you're Pinocchio, you're a liar, and then when you learn about the true meaning behind it, you're almost laughing because it's people are using it in the wrong context, and they don't understand what they're even saying.
Yeah. In other words, he was living a lie. He wasn't true to his original purpose to be a real boy.
Yeah.
And stop being a puppet. See, everyone is just a burattino, you know, like a puppet, until such time as they come into their higher mind, and lose the calm mind, and say goodbye to it. And that's the lying mind. It makes your nose grovel. It's living the lie. It's compromising. You know? So once you stop doing that, then eventually it's a Freemasonic, like all Disneyland products are. They're all based on the Masonic template of Ascension. So they're really Dorothy on the Yellow Brick Road, all of these standout archetypal characters in the movies and in the Gospels and everything. Same story. It's how to become real. How to ease out of the personality into the individuality. The lower ego into the higher ego. Because the higher ego, that's part of the construct. You can't exist without it. It's the lower ego that people are fixated with. But that's just the conscious mind. now part of the material life that they're living. So they've been distracted by it. And making a story, which doesn't necessarily end up good unless they know what they're doing. So, for instance, it's like Ulysses wandering for 10 years. You know, after the Battle of Troy. So they won one battle. It's telling you about a moral victory that you will have when you defeat Troy in you. Then after that, there's 10 years of wandering. See? And to prove yourself before you get back to Penelope, the higher mind. And Penelope's always waiting there for Ulysses or Achilles or whatever his name is. Ulysses. So she's waiting for him to return to his senses. Because she is the higher mind, she's wisdom. Penelope represents the goddess of wisdom. And Ulysses represents the wandering man, like the prodigal son, who forgets his true original. And he goes off wandering, drinking with the drunkards, sleeping with the prostitutes, just to get all that experience and everything like that. And, not returning back to your original estate of full glory and power, which is where we're heading. So he saved himself, but he couldn't save his friends. His friends, they were all turned into swine by Circe, which means that he's just an average hero, one who's able to save himself but not his friends. Like a Neptunian hero, not a Jupiterian hero. The Jupiterian hero is one who saves himself and others. But he was restored. Penelope, he proved himself, he shot the arrow through and he was restored. In other words, he did the complete cycle. He stopped his wandering for 10 years and was restored to his kingship in Thrace. But he was always looking for that. So that 10 years of wandering, that expresses the individual on their path of the soul's transmigration, cycle of necessity. Just a lifetime of experiencing things, hopefully growing, and bringing that back to source. But most of the distractions, like Pinocchio, could end up bad, and you don't get the results. It's like you want to stay on that path. If you're a queue jumper, when you're in a queue and you think, oh man, the one next going really fast and yours is going really slow. And there's only 3 people in that queue and there's like 100 in front of you, so you jump the queue, right? And as soon as you jump the queue, the other you find that
Go to another restaurant, so I'll see you again, huh? You can take care of it too. I'll see you someday.
Yeah.
So the queue you jump to, it's way slower, the other one's faster, and your position now, where you were positioned in your queue, you can see has already been served. So you think, well, I'll jump back. And then you jump back, but by the time you get to the window, tickets have sold out. Right? So this is what happens. It's like in the scriptures it talks about the 6 foolish virgins, or the 5 foolish virgins. They didn't bring enough oil, in the receptacles. Well, that oil is the cerebrospinal crystic fluids. So it represents men and women who get distracted and think, well, maybe I don't need to save those materials, so I can build the crystic nerve, the 13th cranial nerve, and do it some other way. Well, they squander their inheritance. They lose their souls in so doing. And, it's very, very hard to find it again. So, I forgot the point I was going to make there. What was the main thrust of what we were just...
Well, it goes back to Pinocchio and the 10-year.
Yeah, the voyage. Okay,
Yeah.
so... Yeah, the Q jump. That's it. And there's always... So what happened was the illustrations dealing with the bridegroom who comes out at an unknown hour of the evening to accept the virgins in the marriage. Well, the bridegroom's Aries, it's the cerebrum, and the marriage is bringing all the oils back up, ready to provide the materials to create a 13th cranial nerve. So you've done the good work, right? So that is represented by the 5 wise virgins who had plenty of oil left to keep their flame lit. You've got to keep that flame burning, yeah? And you always have spare oil. So you don't go squandering it, you save it, you conserve it, and then when the hour comes, the bridegroom is ready, then the virgins will be there. And another illustration would be the wife of Lot, She was escaping Sodom and Gomorrah, the world of passion and illusion. And she was escaping with Lot, but something in her heart said to look around, and she turned into a pillar of salt. Again, like the dog that returns to its vomit. Why would you return to a former state which you have transcended? This is what humans do. They transcend a state, a mental state, a moral state. They come into a more enlightened state. And then something happens. They haven't got the goods to endure, and all of a sudden they go back to one of the states that they left behind. They're more comfortable in it. So they linger in that state and stagnate. And they don't enable the growth ascension process. So that's the only sin that exists, the sin of ignorance and stagnancy. And not turning your denarii into a fortune, your talents into a fortune. See the illustration of the talents, where certain stewards were given different talents. One was given 1, 2, the other one was given 3, all different gifts, and they were to grow them. The lesson is simple, we've all got talents, we've all got love, consciousness, and human gifts. But if we don't do anything with it, if we don't let our light shine, and we hide it under the table, everything goes to darkness. No growth, no arriving at a glorious place. Self-empowerment, you're losing your soul, you're losing your power. And that's how this system is geared, to distract young people, offer them all kinds of allurements, money, fame, glory. They'll never get it, but they will continue searching for it. Pleasure and pain along the way. They'll never reach their destination. So it's pretty sad. They'll get it. When they're done suffering, they'll get it. They're just not done suffering yet. You see the Simpsons episode where Bart Simpson keeps pressing the doorbell and squirts him in the face? Squirt, dog. Dog. Like about 100 times. And he still didn't get it.
Yeah.
Some people just don't get it. They're not meant to.
Any coincidence that he's named Homer?
I know. Yeah.
Homer, Hermes.
The ideal cartoon figure, mole model for everyone, and everyone's following him. Everyone's a Homer Simpson.
Yeah.
They're all useless. What they call useless eaters or useful idiots. Everyone fits into one or the two. One or the two. You're either a useful idiot, a useless eater, or a useful idiot. It's sad. It's how the elite run the show. And everyone's conscripting and they're lining up for it. Gimme, gimme. What else can I get? Instead of running away from Babylon, so they don't share in your sins. You know? Get out of her, my people, before it's too late. But they're buying and selling, eating and drinking until the flood comes. Everyone's buying and selling, eating and drinking, being married, building houses. Nothing wrong with those things. But when they take your focus away from your path, consequences, you never know. It could be devastating. Why would you live a life where you don't know where you're going? Where it's unsure. That's not for me.
You excited to get up to Portland and do a presentation there?
Can't wait, mate. There's some nice people in Portland that I'm going to be hanging out with. Yeah, it's going to be really nice. Great opportunities. I can see it. Yeah, California's been great, but I think I'm headed for Oregon. I got a lot of good people contacting me from there that are just reaching out right now. So I'm heading there, man.
Yeah.
And you know, don't you? I've told you about some of the people that I'm going to be hooking up with.
Yeah.
So it's going to be real nice.
What's your presentation going to be on?
I'm going to do the Mazzaroth. Yeah, and how to write a gospel. All the ingredients for how to make a absolute stellar gospel, better than Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. I'm gonna make them obsolete. You never will, they were classics, but what I mean is I'm gonna show people how easy it is to write a gospel like Matthew, Mark, Luke or John. I've done it already. I did it in Birmingham in 2013. I called the presentation How to Write a Gospel. And you need basically you need 7 ingredients. So a gospel must have 7 levels of interpretation in order to qualify to be a gospel, or any sacred scripture. You can't just have 2 levels, like literal and allegorical. You have to have mystical and agogic. You have to have layers, like there has to be a geometric number letter association content in sacred scripture. There has to be ethics. When you read about Jesus in the gospel, he's always talking about, forgiving your enemies, loving your enemies. Well, that's ethics. The 3 pillars: logic, physics and ethics of philosophy. And then the 3 pillars of high magic: alchemy, theology, astrology. Well, that's all I'm doing. Those 6 things, Physics, I'm teaching him physics, ethics. And so when you add all those things, theology, alchemy, astrology, physics, ethics, you've got a gospel. Gospel comes from goat spell. The goat is Capricorn, and that's where the year starts in Capricorn in January every year. So every year is a gospel. It's a goat spell. In Greek, it's called Dragus Udi, which becomes Dragudi, which becomes tragedy in English. So when you go to the theatre to see a tragedy, you are seeing a gospel, goat spell, Dragos Udi, Dragudi, tragedy. They're all tragedies. Your life, the opera you go and see, the theatre, the movie, the blockbuster movie you're going to see, they're all tragedies, they're all dragosudis, because they're all the goat going around the gospel. And so, why does the gospel have a hero called Jesus who is born on the 25th of December in Capricorn and does this, that and the other, in his ministry? Because it's the sun on the ecliptic starting at Capricorn, making the gospel. Gospel is not literal history, it's a fairy tale. And I can, that's what I'm going to do in Portland. I'm going to show how to write, how to put the ingredients in to write an epic transmigration tale of how you get restored to your full power and glory. Because that's what gospels are. The sun, it must start its journey at the solstice in winter in Capricorn, climb up to the Tropic of Cancer, go back down again, give you fruits, vegetables, seasons, days, nights, food and sustenance, and then return to the winter and close off the year. It's a gospel. Yeah, so, looking for a historical personage in the gospel is like looking for a real person that you can talk to on the TV screen. They're not real, are they, And you can't talk to them. It's a program. You can't interact with them. Right? And that's what a gospel is. It's a story, it's a fairy tale, it's gone, it's not historical, it's timeless. So when you read Matthew, Luke and John, it's happening now. It's timeless. There's no point saying it happened 2,000 years ago. It didn't. It did, and it didn't. In that, yes, it happened then, it's happening now, it'll happen tomorrow. It's always happened. So yeah, it happened 2,000 years ago, but not only 2,000 years ago. See, this is where people are limiting themselves. You see? The historical context they've been given is false. And so they don't realise that they're living it. They're living history now, they're making it. It's not in the past. There's no relevance or bearing on the now. So when you live in the timeless, and you're not worried about, it's 1 o'clock and I'm late and all of this, then you will see all that.
It was interesting yesterday when you, the first time when you were describing the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and how their names, there's no mistake why their names are their names, because they're talking about, was it Luke is Lucifer,
the sun.
John is Jupiter.
Mark is Mars. No brainer.
Yeah.
And Matthew is Saturn. Ma'at in the Egyptian system. Matthew, the judge, the one who has the scales. So Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, that's just the 4 big boys in astrology. Sun, Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars. It's always that. That's why they say, the church fathers said we have 4 gospels because there are 4 seasons, because there are 4 cardinal points, because there are 4 directions. Otherwise, what happens to all the other hundreds of the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Barnabas, the Gospel of Judas, the Gospel of Wisdom, the Gospel of Sophia? Why were they not included? Because there's not 140 cardinal points and seasons.
Yeah.
You have to have the 4.
Yeah.
It's complete. The complete gamut of the spectrum of the year's energy. Summer, autumn, instance, the Gospel of Mark, it has no nativity in it.
Right here, and then we're almost at the park.
It starts with Jesus on the first day of his ministry. So what happened? Matthew and Luke, they've got all this nativity and all the Son of God is born in a manger rubbish. All astrological and astrotheological, allegorical, wisdom. All nonsense, if you want to look at it that way. That's why some people hate the Bible. They think it's just nonsense. But it's not. It's alchemy. It's symbology. It's wisdom that we need to, understand on its own merits. Some people are quick to say, "Oh, it's nonsense," and they want to write it off as insignificant. Well, that will be tantamount to saying Chinese is not a real language because I don't understand it. It sounds like gibberish. So I'm going to debunk it. I'm going to declassify it as a language. It's just noise. No, it's a language. You just don't understand it. So the same is with this.
Where are you going to be after? You said you might be going to Sacramento.
Yeah, late October.
Late October.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just for all time's sake, and just to say I did it, I guess. But it'd be a nice place to do a presentation. But I think I might stay in Oregon.
Yeah.
I like Oregon.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a good community up there that are eager for you to swing into town, and
I'm sure.
Yeah.
You can get any better, man.
You enjoyed staying in Philo up there in the woods?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I needed it. It's very restorative and healing, the redwoods. The meditating, the walks I've done, it's all been great. Been totally, I don't know, aligned with where I'm at and my purpose. All fell into place. Just fell into place. As everything is.
Yeah, it's pretty good, man. Yeah.
It's like, for me personally, I feel this is like a healing journey for consciousness. So this is knowledge that needs to be brought for folks to make that connection and choose that path to jump on and go move forward.
Yeah, it's a big opportunity, man. For sure. And we're catching the train. Yeah. You don't want to miss the train. Is that Pink Floyd in the Gravy Train? Remember? Money.
Yeah.
I think it's that song where they talk about the train, get on the gravy train. Yes, there are two paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on. Remember that one?
Yeah.
There are two paths, man. Ascension and descension. And stagnancy does not befit a human being. In Revelation, Jesus says, "You are lukewarm, Laodiceans." Either you need to be cold or hot. Make up your mind. I don't like lukewarm. So we got to be hot for the truth. Make our stand by it, and endure, and reap the eternal glorious rewards. It's exciting. It's just great. Couldn't have written it better. We're great script writers.
Yeah. Pink Floyd?
We.
Oh, we are, yeah.
And Pink Floyd.
And Pink Floyd, yeah.
Now this is our script.
Yeah.
We're co-creators. We are co-creators. And very powerful. All we're doing here is to experience our power and to see it unfold. And some people are experiencing their demise and their loss of power, and other people are experiencing the remembering and the restoration of their power. So it's all about which path you want to be on. I know the one I want. I'm on it. That feels good. Protects you. You sleep well at night. You haven't harmed anyone. Good conscience. Good consciousness. And it only gets better.
Would you have any advice for folks who want to get on the Jupiterian level of saving not only themselves but other people?
Yeah, well, I would say, as I always do, put your best foot forward and give it a go for your own blessings. Change things, change the alchemy of your life, and you watch what happens. The moment you change your diet, start with your diet. That's the beginning point. Once that transforms from blood and starch diet, which everybody's addicted to, and then you go to fruits and whole foods, everything starts getting restored. Your body goes back to its original DNA, true replicating pattern. The ribosomes start getting all the codons, all the 64 codon codes and patterns back restored. It's not confused. There aren't elements of antioxidants and pollution in the blood corrupting the process of making proteins, replicating the DNA, the cell, so that it replicates true to its original its original astrological conditioning that you were born with. So once you start there, try it. Watch what happens. I tell people, go on a plant-based diet for 2 weeks. And that's all you need, because once you realise how good you feel after 2 weeks, that'll open the door to everything else. It'll open the door to philosophy, wisdom, tantra, syncretism, astrology, alchemy, and away you go. Because then you'll start caring for yourself when you realise how good you feel. How empowering it is to eat properly and to start at that foundation, Malkuth, and build from there to get to the ether. It's the way to go. Other people are avoiding Malkuth, so they'll continue eating meat, smoking tobacco, getting drunk, alcohol, and then they go and do ayahuasca and imagine or expect that they will get those benefits as well. You won't, so they take entheogens to escape that, but they're still carrying it. So they don't escape it. And they don't get not even a tenth of the benefit of that experience that they thought they should. And what happens is once you start going on this path, then things like that, they're not needed, because your gut is now able to make the top of the gut there, of the intestines, now is able to make serotonin, melatonin, and all the blissful endocrine hormones and secretions that you need. You'll have adrenaline when you need it, you'll have serotonin when you need it, and it all, come in at the right time for the cycles of the day, it won't interfere with your circadian patterns, But when you're eating flesh and blood diet and a lot of starch, etc., it dulls the body, the endocrine system, and everything. And then this is why people need to have a lot of starchy cakes and sugary things to get the adrenaline rush, because their body's now all clogged up and it's not making serotonin. It's not giving them any of the bliss, the happiness that the body can self-produce. It's blocked. So they're sad and they go on medications to be happy, uppers, downers, antidepressants, who knows what. And that even makes it even worse. Keep spiraling down a really bad path. It's sad. But whole foods, good, structured, energized water, magnetized. I would say also get familiar with magnetism. We must now bless ourselves with magnetism. Magnetism is a non-vibratory, radiating energy. There's no vibration in it. There's no hertz. There's no transverse frequency. Nothing harmful about it at all. It's longitudinal. It's pure, and it's healing. Electricity is noisy. Magnetism is still, and it's 10 billion times more powerful than electricity. 10 billion times, if you go by Faraday and Maxwell's equations. So magnetism is the force, and that they're keeping it away from us. They're trying to, make it look like just some simple gimmick that makes, like in magnets, they have the fridge magnets and everything like that. Magnets are part of our lives, and people don't realise what magnets really are. Magnetism. That field is a healing field. And it's a sound as well. Magnetism is light and sound. So those lines of force of magnetism, that's light. It depends on what pole of the magnet. If it's the attracting, well then that's convergent centripetal light. When the magnet repels, pushing away, that's centrifugal divergent light, but it's light. You're starting to see and understand God. Light with magnetism, and you see God's attracting properties, and you see God's repelling qualities in magnetism. It's a free gift. Magnetism is the free gift of the Holy Spirit. We can either use it or abuse it, and when we learn to use it and harness its energy, we're unstoppable. That's how some of these fast, high-speed rail trains are actually functioning, with silent, non-moving, wearing out parts. Just magnetism. Straight, direct magnetism. Oh, I got Naomi, yep. How about we go and have a lunch, eh?
Yeah, that place is closed on Sunday.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there's if you guys want it, there's a place in South San Francisco that's vegan. It's called Mix.
Well, I got to go. I know you have to go, but I'm going to go there. Or you?
Yeah, I'll go. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I just want to say, before we cut this off, thanks, Santos, on behalf of everyone who was there yesterday and in the San Francisco Bay Area. It's been a pleasure being a part of your first presentation. And in 6 years, and I know everyone there is just so happy
It was great.
to be there.
I was.
Yeah,
It's like a dream.
yeah.
It was. It was
Yeah.
like a dream. All the good people like yourselves, it's like I've seen them before.
Yeah.
Familiar faces. It's quite confronting when you're feeling and experiencing that. It's very confronting, but beautiful at the
Yeah.
same time. I loved it. I think this is the beginning of great things.
Yeah.
Kevin.
Agree.
Yeah. Thanks, Eric.
Yeah.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks, brother. All right.
Awesome.
Until next time, guys. All right. Bye.